Enter mode.
Alrighty, hello everyone! How are y'all doing today? That is not what I meant to do. We're going to the timeline. Give me the, Anyways, distraction. There we go. How are we all today? I hope we are doing well. We are back with Shibuya Scramble. I'm actually going to pause here and put on a sweater. I am cold for once. Just give me 1 second. But I hope we are all doing well. Yes, this is an odd day for me to be streaming, but I was busy this weekend with the tournament, which went really well. Hi Raz, how are you doing? I did not win, of course. I did not win anything. I didn't even win any matches, but I'm not upset because I have barely had time to practice fighting games. So, it was still really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know there's much else to say other than that. Okay, now that I have a sweater on, I should warm up. I don't know why I'm so cold today. Maybe it was because I was wearing more clothing earlier and then I, like, put on my PJs and then my body was just like, no, these are cold. That's probably it. Does this game feel loud? The game feels loud. One moment. Let's do that. So yes, we have, we are at the start of a new hour in this game, and things are ramping up. No, go back. Yes, I want the time chart. So we can either start for Maria for something a bit lighter, Achi for, I don't know what's happening, but things. Kano for dead people, I'm pretty sure. Minorikawa's laptop died. And Osawa, I don't know what's happening. So, do we have a preference or do I get to choose? That is the question. Oh, why am I so cold? Where's my blanket? There it is. I don't know why I'm so cold. It's unfortunate. I don't want to be cold. I don't like being cold. Oh, that sounds better. I just scoot forward an inch and suddenly I sound so much better. What is this? There we go. How about I set my levels where I actually sit? That helps, instead of like 5 inches back from where I usually sit. Alright, if we have no preference, let's do Moriya's then. So we just found out that Tama is actually Maria. Because she finally got out of the suit. The sales clerk continues to stare at me. You know, you look really familiar, he says. Huh? Really? I perk up at that. Maybe I can find out something about who I am. Yeah, totally. You look like some pop singer or TV personality. I just can't remember who. Oh, that's what you meant. My shoulders slump in disappointment. Look, if you're trying to flatter me, how about a discount on the necklace? Sure, okay. I mean, it's just something I picked off the side of the road. The sales clerk stammers for a moment. Okay, how about I take off 10,000, 30,000 and it's yours. You mean it? That perks me right back up. Guess I'm easy to please. Get... Oh, this fucking game. Get your mind out of the gutter. That's not what she meant and you know it. Fuck, I love this game. God, I love this game so fucking much. Sure, you look like you might need to buy some new clothes too. He points to my sweater. Oh, it's ripped. There's a tiny tear in the left shoulder. So what do you want to do about the cat? The sales clerk adds. Want me to dispose of it for you? He gestures at my costume with his jaw. Oh, right. What should I do? Feel a little guilty about asking him for more, or obviously wants to help, he may as well get rid of the costume. I'm kind of feeling this one. Yeah, let's go. He obviously wants to help me. May as well have him get rid of the costume too. Sure, if you don't mind, I say. I pay him the 30,000 yen, take the necklace, and leave the knick-knack shop. A few minutes later, near the station, I spot a sort of mall. Checking the directory by the entrance, I see that it's got several clothing shops and an arcade inside. They probably sell shirts in here. I hurry on inside. The interior of the building is like a twisting maze of corridors, all of them overflowing with people. I take the escalator to the second floor and find myself amidst rows of arcade games. I was trying to get to the fashion area, but I must have gone the wrong way. Excuse me? You haven't seen a lost little girl, have you? I turn to see a miserable-looking, middle-aged man peering at me anxiously. Teruo Toyama. He got separated from his daughter Hana while running from debt collectors. He's on edge, worried that the men who are after him might have taken Hana hostage. I'm just gonna put up some lip chap. There we are. Have you seen her? A little girl, about 10 years old. A girl around 10? Have I seen her? What's her name? Hana. Hana Toyama. Hana. Oh, that's a pretty name. So, she's about yay tall. The man launches into a rapid-fire explanation, describing the girl's features, hairs, and clothes. I got separated from her around Center Guy. She likes this place, so I thought maybe she'd come here. Center Guy? That's right, now I remember. This is a guy I bumped into earlier in the afternoon while I was racing around in the cat costume. He got separated from his daughter. Yikes, if she did come here, it's not going to be easy to find her in the midst of these crowds. Are you sure she didn't go back home? I ask. Well, there's this problem, he mutters. Going home isn't an option. Well, that's not really an explanation. Sorry to bother you. I'll look around a bit more. With that, Hana's father disappears into the crowd. I leave the arcade and head for the fashion area. I bump into Yanagishita in a hallway, lined with photo booths. Huh? Boss? What's he doing in a place like this? Oh, Tama, you're out of the suit. For some reason he's got a bunch of magazines strewn across the floor. Yeah, finally managed to get it off. That's good. I wish I could have been at the sales demo with you, without your face hidden away. What are you doing? You mentioned something about a creek earlier. Are you going on a trip? Yeah, I was, but then I remembered something important. I get motion sickness, something fierce. He sounds kind of proud of himself. So yeah, no trips for me. Heck, I don't even want to think about that now. What about the money you owe? I ask, curious. Well, as it happens, I think I may have found my solution. He brings a hand to his mouth and giggles. Right here. I found a great way to make a killing. To earn a lot of money, usually in a very short time, and /or with little effort. The phrase originated in the 19th century in reference to hunters who were paid based on the number of kills they'd made. He opens the magazine he's holding to reveal a scratch card with a potential 100,000 yen prize. You just gotta scratch off one of these to win 100,000 yen. All I need is 30 of them, and my debt's squared away. Each magazine I can nab is more money for me. Despite his enthusiasm, his story doesn't quite add up. Are those scratch cards guaranteed to win? No, of course not. It's a lottery sort of thing. Well, then having 30 copies of the magazine is hardly a foolproof solution. Quite the opposite, in fact, but I hold my tongue. Okay then. Now that my goddess of fortune Tam is here, let me hurry and scratch these suckers off. Yanagishita begins fervently scratching away at the first card with the coin. Ah, that one's a loser. Maybe the next one? Nope, that's a loser too. Damn it, so's this one, and this one. In a spectacular display, he scratches off one losing card after another. Soon he's down to just one last magazine. You're not a very lucky person, are you? Oh, please don't say that. Mr. Yanagishita looks like he's on the verge of tears. I stare at one of the losing scratch cards. You know, if I could just see the symbols through the card, you'd win for sure, I say jokingly. Well, about that. I hold the card up to the light. When I do, I really can see the symbols through the card. Boss, I think I might have just... Shh! He interrupts me before I can share my shocking discovery. I look at him in surprise. Mr. Yanagishita has gone all pale. Quiet, Tama. Those guys are here. He shoves me into a photo booth. Those guys? The debt collectors, he hisses. They just do not give up. He clutches the sides of his head. Peeking out of the booth, I spot a pair of men who look pretty rough around the edges. Is it those two? Shh, not so loud! The men are looking around, and they are getting closer and closer. What do I do? Oh, what do I do? Mr. Yanagishita starts getting panicky. Tama, what do I do? I have no idea. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Mr. Yanagishita whimpers. We can either, like, pretend we don't know him and run. Or we could try and find a better place to hide. We should try and find a better place to hide. I like Yanagishita. He's an idiot. This guy gave me a job, so I kind of owe him. I look around for a better place for the two of us to hide. Unfortunately, I don't really see anywhere that might work. I love Yanagishita. I love him so much. He's so stupid. He's so stupid. I love him. We might be the safest staying right where we are. Just stay nice and still, and we'll be fine, I whisper. Yeah, you're probably right. The curtain is drawn, so people can't see inside, but just to keep up appearances, we start taking photos as if we're normal customers. I really hope they don't look in here, Mr. Yanagishita murmurs. What'll we do if they find us? They won't. Just don't worry. Despite my reassurances, it's a while before he stopped trembling. Then he said, You know, Tama, they say that when a man and woman meet under unusual circumstances, it's easy for them to fall in love. Uh-huh. Do they now? They do. Going through an extreme situation together makes you fall for one another, for each other. So, wanna go get married? What? Yanagishita, what? No! No way! Yeah, I'm not having this conversation. Anyway, I think they're gone now. The debt collectors, I mean. Mr. Yanagishita peeks out and quickly scans the surrounding area. They're gone? They're gone! So long, losers! His fear has given way to a burst of manic energy. Guess I'm in the clear now. Thanks, Tama. Come on, let's take some commemorative photos. Huh? To commemorate what, exactly? Come on, it'll be fun. Okay, big smile now. Ready? Cheese! Butter! Margarine! Aww. Cute! After that, I part ways with Mr. Yanagishita and head to a different floor. I don't tell him about being able to see through the scratch cards. The guy really ought to develop a proper work ethic. Hey, come on, wait up! I'm on the escalator to the 3rd floor when I hear someone shouting. I figured someone yelling to their kid, but when I turn to look, I see a young man I don't recognize staring right at me. Where are you going? It's not safe for us to get too separated. What? Who's this weirdo? It's Achi! Oh. Is this some new pickup trick or something? I rush up the escalator to get away from the guy. When I get to the restaurant section of the 4th floor, I'm hit with a sudden pang of hunger. Come to think of it, I haven't eaten a thing all day. I'm so hungry, I mutter to myself as I walk around. What should I eat? Then I spot Chiri coming out of a Chinese restaurant. Hey, Chiri. She turns to look at me, confused. You're who? Who are you? Oh, it's me. It's Tama. Ah, I thought I recognized that voice, she replies with a nod. Did you eat again? I ask. Well, yeah, but then they kicked me out. Isn't that just terrible? She looks pretty displeased. I came here because they said it was an all-you-can-eat, but then they closed shop because they ran out of food. That is the best fucking picture I've seen. Holy shit. Oh wow, you're right. I spot one of the restaurant staff hanging a closed sign on the front door. Man, now my early afternoon snack is ruined. An afternoon snack? At an all-you-can-eat buffet. I can't help but stare at Charity's mood section, amazed by what that stomach is capable of. By the way, have you seen the boss? She asked. I thought he'd finally accepted that he needs to buckle down and work, but he's got some crazy new scheme. Guess the guy's just never gonna learn. I figure nothing's good gonna come from associating with him. I'd be careful if I were you too. Huh? Done with her little rant, Chiri says goodbye and heads off amongst the restaurants. Hitomi? Who said that? Were they talking to me? I turn to see a businessman of some sort staring my direction. Like everyone I've run into today, I don't recognize him. For some reason, though, I feel relaxed in his presence. Is that you, Hitomi? Hitomi? Could that be my name? Or are you Maria? No, As I fumble for words, the man peers at me with obvious concern. What are you doing in a place like this? We need to get you back home. Your parents are worried sick. My parents? Did someone file a missing person report while I've been wandering around with amnesia? The man leads the way and I follow. We leave the Gigo? Gigo? We leave the Gigo, sure, building, but head down a narrow alleyway. Then the man suddenly stops. I feel a jolt of anxiety as I notice something gleaming in his hand. It doesn't matter which of the two you are. You're both in the way. He mutters almost as if talking to himself. Right after that, everything goes dark. What? That's fascinating. What? Hmm. God, I love this game. It's so cool. I'm just fucking invested. I am excited to, like, see the end of this story. I am so fucking invested. I want to jump over to Achi's route because I know Achi spotted Maria walking around. So I'm just curious what happened in Achi's time. You must be Hitomi. The girl called Kanan spoke fairly fluent Japanese. Hitomi nodded in response. Yes, that's me. And you're Kanan, right? How did you know my name? Did Maria tell you? Yes. She told me about this amazing girl from overseas she'd made friends with. A thin smile crossed Kanan's lips at the words, amazing. Then her look grew sad. Poor Maria. It's my fault that she was abducted. What? What? Achi and Hitomi gasped in unison. That's why I have to rescue her, Kanan added. Hold on a second, Hitomi said. What do you mean it's your fault? Kanan replied by jerking her chin in the direction of the May Road. Better head that way, she said softly. Someone's coming. But Hitomi didn't back down. Please tell me, why was my sister kidnapped? Several steps of... Ooh, I can't speak today. Da-da-da-da. Several sets of footsteps echoed down the alleyway. They could see figures approaching now. By the looks of them, accomplices of the man Kanan had taken down earlier. You two get out of here, she warned. I'll handle this. She stepped out in front of Achi and Hitomi, moving with such confidence that they didn't doubt she could handle the threat. Come to the Geigo building at 3 o'clock, she quietly added, never taking her eyes off the advancing syndicate members. Huh? Hitomi squeaked. I'll explain everything then. The criminals broke into a run. Come on, Hitomi, let's go, Achi hissed. He took her by the hand and bolted from the alleyway. The two didn't slow their pace. Oh, excuse me. The two didn't slow their pace until they'd put plenty of distance between themselves and the alleyway. Kanan said this was her fault. What could she have meant by that? The hard run hadn't made Hitomi forget the other girl's startling suggestion. Well, she said she'll meet up with us again later, Achi said. We can ask her more about it then. In the meantime, an ache in his belly had made Achi realize he'd been running all day and hadn't eaten since the morning. People on a diet need to be careful about skipping meals. Ooh, excuse me. Going too long without proper nourishment can cause the body to store up its energy reserves, leading to weight gain instead of loss. Proper eating habits and proper exercise are key. Maybe it's not best timing, but you'd want to get some food. I'll be okay. Hitomi's face was racked with emotion. It's only natural, Achi thought. And only was she afraid for her sister's life, but there were all these people out to kill her too. And with this Kanan girl suddenly showing up, the situation was more confusing than ever. Still, they might as well address the few problems they could control. There was a fast food joint nearby. Let's go in there, Achi said. You might not be hungry, but you should still make sure you stay hydrated. Hitomi shook her head, but her wan face... Wan? What does that mean? But her wan face practically radiated exhaustion. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm looking up this word. I don't know what it means. Nope. What does this mean? Stop giving me internet. I know that's not what it means. One adjective. Suggestion of poor health. Ah! I had never ever seen that word before. I learned a new word today. Come on, we should rest up a little. But there's no rush. If we're going to meet up with Kanan later, it's probably best if we just don't wander aimlessly until then. Never know who we might run into. I guess you're right. The two went into the fast food restaurant together. Welcome, said the girl at the register with a bright smile. May I take your order? I'll have the spaghetti with meat sauce. How about you, Hitomi? Spaghetti with a sauce made from tomatoes and ground meat, also known as spaghetti bolognese. Bolognese? Bolognese? Bolognese. It is bolognese, isn't it? I think so. I know words. If you want to sound more Italian, like Napoleon, like Napoleon. Napoleon? Yeah. Spaghetti flavored with ketchup. It's a I can read today. I can't read today. I'm doing really bad. It's a perennial favorite of Japanese children. Frozen packages at the supermarket for around 200 yen a pop make for a simple and decently tasty microwavable meal that's also easy on the wallet. I'll just have an iced tea. Hey now, you should probably at least eat a little something. Okay, then I'll have a strawberry parfait. Ooh, I like parfaits. A dessert of strawberries topped with ice cream and whipped cream. Hitomi's been so worried about her sister that she hasn't eaten anything since last night. But being with Achi has calmed her nerves a little, and her appetite has returned. Perhaps her reflective order of a strawberry parfait is a sign she's not only hungry, but also still a little girl with a sweet tooth at heart. She sounded a little embarrassed to be ordering dessert. So yeah, Achi said, one spaghetti and meat sauce and a strawberry parfait, please. Coming right up. The cashier promptly assembled their meal and set it out on a tray. We've got a special contest going on right now, she said. Please check it out if you're interested. The girl handed Achi a flyer. It read, Iron Stomach Eating Contest. Eat 1,000 scoops of ice cream and win 10 million yen. Oh, Chidi's gonna have fun. A competitive eating event held by this establishment. Backed by Sun TV, the competition has been shared with the entire country over the internet. Many contestants have entered for a shot at the 10 million yen prize, but so far, no one has been able to complete the eating challenge due to the large number of competitors who suffer from gastrointestinal distress as a result of their efforts. Roughly 30 portable toilets have been set up outside the restaurant. What the heck? Achi stared at the flyer as he took a seat at an open table. 1,000 scoops? That's impossible. Anyway, let's hurry up and eat. Achi stuffed his face with spaghetti as he thought back to their encounter with Kanan. The girl had helped them out, sure, but could they really trust her completely? It might be dangerous for them to meet up. Ooh. We'll get reading. Wow. It might be dangerous to meet up with her again. Still, Hitomi needed to know more about what had happened to Maria, and Canon obviously knew something about that. It looked like they needed to take that risk. My sister really is amazing. Huh? I love Achi's face in this. He's so cute. Hitomi's quiet words drew Achi from his ruminations. He paused with a forkful of spaghetti halfway to his mouth. My sister met Kanan while she was on a trip to the Middle East with my father. Hitomi nibbled at her parfait, looking lonesome. Cool, but how does that in particular make your sister amazing? It's typical of her, is all. She's so dynamic and gung-ho about things. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. Hitomi explained, her gaze turned inwards. It was just my father and sister who took that trip to the Middle East. I didn't go with them. I guess my mental image of that part of the world is mostly that it's really dangerous. To me, going there seemed like a huge risk, but Marie didn't see that way. Huh. Your sister sounds like a bit of a loose cannon. But if you can't bring yourself to take risks to do things, Hitomi continued, you can't meet new people and have new experiences. That's the part I always get hung up on. The risk. I'd never be able to make a friend like Kanan. Achi's mind wandered as he listened to Hitomi talk. She and her sister might be twins, but each of them is still unique. Just what kind of person was Hitomi's sister? He just wanted to sit there and listen to her voice. Aww. Let's go with the first one. She and her sister might be twins, but each of them was still unique. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, he said. He held up a hand to cut her off. Huh? Hitomi's eyes went wide. Why are you comparing yourself to your sister? I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a twin, but can't you just be yourself? Professor Palmer said the same thing. Achi didn't recognize the name. Oh, sorry. Leland Palmer. He's my university English professor. He's given me advice on a whole bunch of things. That sounded rather... Fuck off, Achi. Come on. Intimate. All sorts of worrying images shot through Achi's mind. So, how old is this teacher of yours? Huh? Around 40 or so, I guess? Great, Achi thought to himself. Another middle-aged guy. Achi, please, stop it. I'm smacking my head against the desk. Stop that! Oh, hey, ain't that Hitomi Osawa? Oh wow, you're right, it totally is. A college-aged couple sitting behind them were talking in hushed, excited tones. Man, she really is a cutie, the young man observed. Looking at Achi. Holy shit, man. Oh, I love this game. The fucking sauce around his mouth as well. Oh gosh, you're adorable, bud. You're adorable. He made no attempt to hide the fact that he was looking Hitomi over. Hey, hold on, Masa, said the girl. What gives? Masa, a first-year student at Midoriyama Academy who works part-time as a delivery driver for Dogen Hut, a noodle shop on Dogenzaka. He's taken the day off work in order to attempt a dry run of the Iron Stomach eating competition, hoping to strike it rich while his girlfriend looks on. But now that he's eaten 2 parfaits, his stomach isn't feeling well, and he's just gotten back from his fifth trip to the toilet. Well, I mean, she is Miss Midoriyama, right? Miss Midoriyama? We are not going to approach them. That's not a good idea, but I kind of want to know what else they're saying. Achi said nothing, but kept his ears tuned to the couple's conversation. You sure that's her? Yeah, it totally is. No, it isn't. Isn't that Maria Osawa? Oh, huh. Maybe? Either way, she's super cute. Hey now, Masa, what gives? A first-year student in Midoriyama Academy who works part-time for Dogen Hut, a noodle shop on Dogenzaka. He's just back from suffering in the restroom. His stomach rather upset from eating too much parfait. While doing his business there, he happened to spot a magazine on the wall rack. Flipping through nonchalantly, he came across a potential 100,000 yen scratch card inside. Seeing that it had been scratched off, he considered trying for the prize, but then deciding it was no time to press his luck, left the restroom without scratching it. Okay. That's a tidbit to give us. Achi turned back to Hitomi. Is that true? He asked, peering intently at her face. Well, yeah. She nodded with an awkward smile. I mean, you really are cute and all, Achi said. Miss Midoriyama. Well, I'll be. He nodded to himself as he took it all in. It was Professor Palmer who convinced me to enter the beauty contest, actually. The Miss Midoriyama contest at Midoriyama Academy is considered one of the top student beauty pageants in Japan. Pin-up shots of both Hitomi and Maria have already graced the pages of several magazines. Talent agencies has also made attempt to scout them, but both girls declined, claiming they entered the contest just for the memories and that they have no interest in show business. Huh. Achi's smile twisted up a little. He said if I really want to change myself, I should try entering. Achi maintained his outwards composure, but inside, his heart was racing. Tanaka and Palmer. Which of them held Hitomi's true affections? Or was she possibly leading on two middle-aged men at the same time? The more he thought about it, the worse his delusions became. What actually happened, though, is my sister and I both won the prize. Hitomi's words snapped him out of his funk. She sounded disappointed. Huh? They gave out a double prize? Turns out my sister had entered the competition, too. She smiled in a self-deprecating smile. Guess twins do really think alike, huh? Hey, double schmubble, you still won a prize, right? That's pretty impressive. Nah, they just picked me as an afterthought to my sister, because twins sharing the prize made for a good headline. She looked away sadly. Did they say they picked you as an afterthought? They didn't have to. It was obvious my sister really won. You can't know that. Maybe she was the afterthought. Come on, you need to believe in yourself. Hitomi just hung her head. But I'm such a terrible person. Suddenly, her eyes welled up with tears. I hate myself so much. I can never forgive myself for what I did. Hey, whoa! Achi watched her with trepidation, as she looked like she might start bawling at any moment. What's the matter? The night my sister was kidnapped, I was supposed to go to a college party with her, but then all of a sudden she told me not to go. I kept asking her why not, but she just kept insisting I couldn't. Hitomi's face was bleak with regret. We both got mad and I wound up blowing up at her. Okay, I get it. I don't need to go to the party. Fine, I'll just be your little tag-along anyway. Just like that beauty contest, you couldn't just let me enter that by myself, could you? You always had to be the center of attention. Maria scowled. Fine. The party starts at 7 o'clock. Try not to forget, okay? I was kicking myself as soon as I told her off. My sister isn't the sort of person to tell me what to do or not to do. She must have had a good reason for not wanting me to go. I was planning on apologizing to her after the party, but then she was abducted, right? Hachi polished off the last of his spaghetti. He set down his fork, then wiped his mouth. Hitomi, I get you're trying so hard to save your sister, he said. And maybe I'm not as tough as that cannon girl, but I'll stick with you until the end, if you'll let me. He tried his best to convey an optimism he didn't really feel. And once we found her, and she's safe and sound, you can tell her you're sorry about what you said. At long last, Hitomi cracked a smile. A short while later, the two arrived outside the Geigo building. They were still a little early for their 3 o'clock meetup with Kanan. They decided that searching at random for the blue man was too risky. It could easily draw the attention of the man with the cane or the foreign kidnappers. Sorry. Getting information from Kanan seemed like the best move. Oh, hey, Achi says as they waited. You've got a rip in your top. Hitomi glanced at her shoulder and saw the tear in the fabric. Oh, you're right. When did that happen, I wonder? Must have snagged it on something while we were running, I guess. We've got some time before Kanan gets here. Do you want to buy some new clothes? Huh? Are you sure that's a good idea? We'll stick out if we just stand around here waiting. May as well head inside until it's time. Since May celebrities did their shopping at Geigo, they were back entrances for times when the place was crowded. Everyone who frequented the old shopping district knew about them, including Hachi and Hitomi. In a pinch, one of those back entrances could be an escape route. With this in mind, the two headed inside. Shibuya Geigo was an entertainment complex featuring a video arcade and fashion shops. At the time of this story, Geigo includes not only a fashion mall, but various amusements on its different levels. The second floor features all-ages fun with rides, games, and sticker machines, while the third floor sports the latest arcade games for the core gamer. There's also a food court that offers things such as crepes and loaded takoyaki octopus dough balls. I think... Is this the one that changed hands recently? I don't remember. Oh, I'm gonna... There we go. Stretchy. The ground floor and the two basement levels of the building were designed as an amusement area outfitted with ski pole, claw cranes, fighting games, and the like. The second floor held a mix of photo booths and ladies' wear shops. On the third floor were specialty fashion boutiques, and the fourth were restaurants. Achi and Hitomi took the escalator to the second floor. Hitomi started heading for the shops, but Achi stopped her. Hey, wait up! What's the matter? A dude hanging around a women's clothing store is gonna stand out. I'll wait for you here. There seemed to be nobody but female customers around. If a man with a cane or the kidnappers appeared, Achi figured he would spot them right away. It should be safe for Hitomi to shop on her own for a short while. Alright, Hitomi said. I'll try to make it this quick. She began to head onto the sales floor. Yaragishita, what? Yaragishita, what? Whew! A seedy-looking man poked out from beneath the door of a photo booth, right at Hitomi's feet. That was a close one, wasn't it, Tama? He said to her. I thought it was a dead meat for sure. His tone was oddly cheerful, considering what he was saying. Who's this guy? Achi asked. You know him? No, I don't. The sketchy fellow gave her an ingratiated? I think so. Come on, Tama, don't be like that. Hitomi gave an anxious step back. Hey man, knock it off. Achi dragged the guy up to his feet. Okay, no need to get all testy. Who's this guy, Tama? He your boyfriend? Boyfriend? Might be one way to get rid of him. Ooh. That's hard. Yeah, let's do that one. Is what he was about to say, but Hitomi spoke up first. Oh, so it didn't matter. No, he's not. What? So you're not her boyfriend? The guy flashed a broad grin. Hey, listen you creep, who the hell are you? Oh, me, The man's face suddenly blanched. Oh, crap. Tama, hold this for a bit, will ya? The weirdo shoved a worn-out magazine into Hitomi's hands and bolted off in a panic. What the heck was that all about? Heh! There's the debt collectors. Yeah, I wonder why he ran off like that. Achi and Hitomi stared at one another. Well, anyway, Achi said, there are a lot of nut jobs out there, so just be careful, yeah? Okay, if anything happens, I'll give you a shout. Hitomi flashed him an impish smile, then scampered off onto the sales floor. As he watched her go, Achi muttered to himself, damn it, why does she have to be so cute? "5 minutes or more passed as Hachi waited for Hitomi. He stood by the escalator, almost as if he were keeping guard. Female shoppers began to give him icy stares for being somewhere he probably shouldn't. This sucks. Come on, Hitomi, hurry up and get back here. The longer he waited, the more uncomfortable he felt. How long was she going to take? Then he happened to turn around and see Hitomi riding the escalator up. It looked like she had indeed bought some new clothes. Hey, Hitomi! She didn't seem to hear him. Decided to shout a bit louder. Decided to go after her. Ooh. I think we need to go after her to avoid that bad end. He decided to go after her. Had she forgotten where he was waiting for her? She stayed on the escalator, heading up toward the top floor. Achi followed it up, but by the time he reached the top, she was out of sight. This was the restaurant floor, so it was more open than the other levels. A floor designated solely for the eateries. Typically, this is the topmost floor of a mall building like Geigo. Those who head up here during morning hours will likely find the place deserted. Geigo's restaurant floor features a variety of different cuisines, including Chinese, Italian, creative Japanese food, sushi, tempura, and other delicacies from around the world. He hurriedly began to look around. As he wandered, he bumped into a man talking on his cell phone. Sorry, my bad. Achi held up a hand in apology, but the man was too engrossed in his conversation to notice. No, you're not getting it. The lock was undone, too. The man startled Achi by suddenly shouting into his phone. You need to consider the risk of it getting out. Whatever this guy was talking about, he was sure angry with whoever was on the other side. Look, I'll figure out to do about the minivan. You just handle things on your end. Minivan? Hachi's interest was piqued, but he needed to find Hitomi before he let anything distract him. As he scoured the 4th floor, he came across a Chinese buffet and noticed the large windows in its outer walls. You could see a lot of Shibuya through those windows. Maybe Hitomi had decided to look for the minivan up here? One of the restaurant's employees came rushing up as Achi headed inside. "Sir, I'm sorry," she said. "Oh God!" Sir, you'll have to forgive the inconvenience. We're not open to the, public right now. Not at the moment, I mean." The employee's voice was oddly subdued for some reason. Masai Take, a part-time staffer at the Imabiki Chinese restaurant. Her boss chewed her out pretty bad for showing up at work with her nails manicured black. She was ordered to go to the restroom and scrub them clean, but no amount of nail polish remover was able to do the trick, so she's been dealing with her boss's wrath all day. What is this game? Why not? Achi asked. Well, you see, one of our other customers ate all our food. They ate all of it? Looking around, Achi saw a chubby young woman camped out at a table by one of the windows. Set out before her was a veritable mountain of plates. What I'm trying to say, sir, is that we're, closed for the rest of the day. Oh, but I'm with her, actually, Achi lied. Without waiting for a reply, he barged into the restaurant. He took a quick look around, but there was no sign of Hitomi. Before leaving, though, he figured he'd at least take a look out the windows. A huge glass panes looked out into Dogenzaka. He had a decent view of the roads, but he didn't spot a blue minivan. Achi dropped his gaze onto the sidewalk outside the building. Oh. He let out a tiny gasp. Even from 4 stories up, there was no mistaking what he saw. A group of black-clad foreign men had gathered outside the building. Had they figured out that he and Hitomi were inside? He needed to find her, and fast. He raced out of the restaurant, alert for trouble. Ooh, we are getting to the climax. This is gonna be good. Alright. Oh, I'm just gonna crack out my back because it's already been an hour, so it's time to crack out my back. There we go. I want to move over to Kano's next. I'm just gonna go around the circle for today. Oh, I'm so invested in this. It's so good. I'm really, really enjoying this. Kanan? Kano muttered. What's Kanan? The stench of blood hung heavy in the basement of the bar. Stanley was silent, staring at the criminal's corpse. Hey, do you know anything about this? Kano asked. Still, Stanley gave no response. The silent treatment again, huh? Kano huffed. The American glanced at him gravely. In all likelihood, the one who did this was acting alone. Alone? Against this many other people? Who on earth? There's no need for you to know. Cut the crap, Kano snapped. He grabbed Stanley by the collar. If there's someone involved in this case who's capable of something like this, I need to know about it. How am I supposed to do my job if you keep me in the dark? Stanley remained stone-faced. Look, I'm not afraid of the risks, Kano said. And I'll be a lot more effective if you at least fill me in on the basics here. The more you know, the sooner you'll wind up dead. Kano tightened his grip. But it's okay if I wind up dead while I'm still in the dark, huh? Fine, Stanley said. I'll answer your first question. He brushed Kano's arm aside. Kanan is the name of a covert operative from the Middle East. Covert operative, in simple terms, a type of spy that infiltrates hostile territory to carry out various clandestine activities. I believe she's the one who killed the people here. The Middle East? A covert operative? Kano hadn't expected spycraft to be involved with this. Yes, she's an assassin and a cryptanalysis specialist. Ooh, I can say that word. Do you recall the massive jailbreak from Abu Ghraib? I'm probably butchering that. Prison a while back? A prison in Iraq, west of Baghdad, under the Hussein government. It was an internment facility for political prisoners. But following the Iraq War, it was used by the US Army to house prisoners of war. In April of 2004, photographs of detainees being tortured by US soldiers were released, causing a massive scandal. President Bush later made the decision to have its facility demolished. Kanan was the one who provided the intel the escapees used to get out. Oops, no autoplay please. Kano was at a loss for words. The case was suddenly starting to seem a lot more sinister. Whoever this Kanan was, she'd apparently killed nearly a dozen people with only a knife. She was clearly not one to trifle with. Just what kind of individuals were they dealing with here? He could scarcely imagine. Once again, Kano surveyed the crime scene. Each of the murdered criminals had his throat slit. From the look of the deep, clean cuts, the killer hadn't hesitated in the slightest. Okay, so then what connection does this Kanan have with the mastermind behind this kidnapping? If Kanan had killed all the foreign syndicate members in this bar, did that mean she and the person behind the kidnapping were enemies? Or perhaps she and the kidnapper were working in concert, and she'd carried out these slayings as part of some plan to get rid of some loose ends? I believe I said I'd answer one question. Turning away, Stanley picked up a file from atop a nearby table. Apparently he wasn't in the sharing mood. Realizing that further questions would be pointless, Kano peered sidelong at the file as Stanley opened it. Inside was a detailed map of Shibuya. There are various routes marked with arrows and times. That's the plan for the ransom relay. Kano was so excited he blurted his thoughts out loud. It appears the ultimate goal was for the ransom was a condominium. The address and time were 1420, were written in red ink. Kano put an immediate call to his investigation task force to relay this information. The final destination is Ground Hill 405 in Hiro 5-34 Shibuya. Alright, Kuze told him. We'll look into who owns the condo in question. You and Stanley head over there now. I'm sending backup with you. You have authorization to apprehend the suspect. Finally hearing the order that he'd so long been waiting for, Kano felt a spark of determination flare up inside him. "Alright, let's go," he said, some of excitement slipping into his voice. Stanley, still solemn, closed the file and followed him out of the bar. Stanley drove along. Give me a sec to try and read this. Inokashira Dori, towards Hiro. Hiro, where the finish line for the ransom relay was located. His demeanor was cold and brooding, in sharp contrast with Kano's gung-ho readiness. He seemed lost in some deep and cheerless thought. Kuze's voice came over the wireless as the car came out onto Mejidori. "We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's..." Kano held his breath in anticipation. The name Kuze spoke caught him by surprise entirely. "Oh, you fucker! Oh, you fucker! That's so mean!" Oh, you little shit. Oh, you can't just cliffhanger me like that. You can't do that. It's Osawa's, isn't it? Excuse you. Hi, Raz. Thank you for the cheer. Ah, you can't just do that to me. That's so mean. I'm guessing it's Osawa's. It's gotta be. It's gotta be Osawa's. I mean, come on. It's gotta be. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to go see Osawa's room. Minorikawa, you can wait. I do not want others intruding into my domain. Accordingly, I do not intrude on others. That is how I've lived my life. That is how I forged my sense of calm. But something has begun to drive me mad. The boundaries between myself and others have started to collapse. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I will become something other than myself. And that one thing, I fear I could never bear. Oh no, you don't! Kajiwara tackled Tanaka as he strode towards the door. The two men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway. "Hey!" Tanaka barked. "What are you doing?" "Hold still." Kajiwara ran his bug tracker over Tanaka's body. It began beeping loudly. Aha! Kajiwara pulled off Tanaka's necktie clip. It's a listening device. Tanaka's face went pale. "Where did you get this?" Kajiwara demanded. Well... Tanaka trailed off into silence. "I gave it to him." It was I who had appeared on the second floor landing. You were listening in?" Osawa asked brokenly. "Ma'am," Kajiwara said, "would you mind explaining this?" For once he seemed deadly serious. I was barely able to hear a thing. That's what I get for going with something so cheap. I held out a dangling earpiece. "When and where did you get that?" "Earlier today, when I left to do some shopping." "And why did you plant a listening device on Mr. Tanaka?" Kajiwara asked. That's what I want to know, Tanaka chimed in. Why would you do this, Mrs. Osawa? He was trembling. You were outside emailing someone earlier, weren't you, Mr. Tanaka? I saw you from the window. Emailing? Kajiwara looked into Tanaka's face. I nodded. He came back into the house shortly afterward, and I asked him where he'd gone. And what do you think he said, She was practically gloating, playing to her little audience. She began stalking down the stairs. He'd said he'd gone to check on something at the lab, despite the fact he was out in the yard there fiddling with his phone the whole time. So I figured if I bugged him, and he might show his true colors, and... Enough! Osawa cut his wife off. Tanaka had been healing Hitomi, of course, but he couldn't reveal that now. I think I get what happened here, Kajiwara interposed. He folded his arms. Your wife thought that Mr. Tanaka was in contact with the kidnappers, and so she planted a listening device on him. The detective peered at Tanaka. Who were you emailing, sir? Yes, that's right, I chirped. Show us your phone, Mr. Tanaka. Let's see what you were really up to. Or is there some reason you don't want to show us? Osawa started to panic. If the police checked the cell phone, they'd find the emails from Hitomi. And if the kidnappers somehow found out that Maria's life would be in danger. But I was still relentlessly advancing on Tanaka. Stop this. Darling? She turned to him in surprise. Tanaka was sending emails on my behalf, Osawa said. I asked him to do it. And just who was he emailing? It was... He needed to think of a lie. Fast. It was me. It was something from work. It was Pretty Honey. Oh my god. Let's do... It was someone from work. It was someone from work. But sir, Kajiwara's quick to button. Don't you have a computer in your study? Couldn't you have sent those emails by yourself? The detective had to choose now, of all times, to actually be perceptive. I do, but my computer was having problems sending email. I'm not sure what the issue was. Look, the point is there's no reason to worry about Tanaka's emails. There just isn't. I'm telling you. It was a lame excuse, but he had to just keep pressing it. Anyway, I think we can say we're done here, Osawa said. He opened the front door. Now, if you don't mind, I've asked Tanaka to run some errands for me. Tanaka gave him a quick bow and headed out the door. Hey, wait! I started to go after him. Just calm down. Osawa barred the way. There's no way he's connected to the kidnappers. Can't you see that? His voice cracked and shuddered at a sudden rush of emotion. There, sir, Kajiwara said consolingly. She's just deeply worried about your daughter. I turned around and marched back upstairs. But still, if she's that worried, giving a tie clip as a gift seems a bit... Tie clip. Clothing accessory meant to hold one's necktie in place. In the old days, they were a quintessential part of a salaryman's outfit along with cufflinks and the company badge. Recently, tie clips have come back into vogue with some older men, and now more frequently referred to as tie bars. Kajiwara's muttering trailed off. What do you mean? Osawa asked. Nothing. Not important. The detective waved a hand dismissively, but there had been a definite note of suspicion in his voice. Well, back to work. Kajiwara headed back into the living room. Osawa returned to his study and sat in front of his computer. He had no desire to be in the presence of detectives who were now crowding his living room. The Ayakamki fan forum for people 40 and over was still open on his monitor. He reloaded the page and saw that his earlier thread had gotten a reply. It was from Pretty Honey, a regular contributor to Osawa's threads. Username is someone who posts regularly on the Ayakamiki fan forum, seems to know a lot about agriculture and the police, as evidenced by statements such as, if the world were a farm with 100 people, as well as a tendency to post to another site called the 87th Precinct Telecommunity. Incidentally, Shinya Kano's girlfriend, Hidumi, also posts to the 87th Precinct Telecommunity from time to time. She has several massive arguments with Pretty Honey there, with the latter criticizing the police for not doing their job, while Rumi insists that police work is very difficult and deserves more credit. I think I just realized something. Is Pretty Honey Doobie's dad? Just saying. Just saying. Oop, let's put this away. Sorry. Just, that's a likelihood. Anyways. I'm opposed to the idea of Ayakamiki expanding into America. Yeah. She should be able to enjoy the success she's earned in Japan without having to struggle overseas. Aya's done so much for us. I'd like to hear her to keep supporting Japan forever. The message was festooned with the sort of emoticons a young girl might use. Pretty Honey claimed to be a 19-year-old female college student. Although the community was meant for Ayakamiki fans 40 and over, the settings allowed anyone to post there. The only young woman among the members, however, was Pretty Honey. The thread continued. By the way, have you tried the Ayakamiki fortune teller yet? There's a link below. Fortune telling. Huh? The practice of determining a person's future luck or life events using cards, horoscopes, and or other methods of divination. Most people believe such prognostication when it foretells something good, and don't believe it when the outlook is bad. That's about as much faith in fortune telling as someone should have. Slightly lucky. Cute. Osawa stared. Should he ask it whether Maria was safe? If it gave him a good answer, he'd believe it. If it were a bad answer, he wouldn't. It might be worth a shot, just for the peace of mind it'd bring. He clicked on the link, and the fortune teller page came up. It asked you to enter your birth date and sex. Then Ayakamiki would offer her advice. Osawa followed the instructions, entering his date of birth, selecting male, and then clicking next. A few seconds later, his fortune was displayed. You're a very work-minded person. He had hopes for some insight on Maria, but instead it was just a write-up about his personality. You'd never be able to get by without the devoted support of those around you, but you probably don't realize that, do you? It's a big mistake to think you can get through all of life's challenges on your own. There's nothing cool about being ignorant. If you don't get your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. Just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Famous people who got your results. Shinosuke Owari, the head of the Wandering Angels Theater Troupe. He has an interview appointment with Minoru Monarikawa at 2:30 this afternoon. Osawa couldn't help but feel that the advice was painfully appropriate. He went back to the forum and replied to Pretty Honey. Nice to hear from you again, Pretty Honey. I definitely know how you feel about Aya Kamiki being ours. Still, I'm confident that she's got what it takes to persevere and succeed in America. And if she does well, all of us in Japan will be here to welcome her back all the same. Guess this voyage to America I've concocted just has me a little worked up. Osawa clicked post and leaned back in his chair. Mr. Osawa! Mr. Osawa! It was Kajiwara shouting from outside the door. First the toilet, then lunch. What is it now? There's been a development in the case. Please join us in the living room. We have important matters to discuss. Kajiwara had his detective face on. Oh, I was right, wasn't I? Oh, fuck a hi-eye. You're scary. When Osawa entered the living room, I was already there, looking stern and solemn. Now that you're both here, Kajiwara said, allow me to share what we know. We've identified a location that appears to be the Syndicate's hideout. You have? What about Maria? Is she there? Osawa exclaimed. We still haven't been able to ascertain whether your daughter is safe. Well then, what were these important matters you need to discuss? Osawa felt a wave of anxiety rush through him. The hideout in question is a condominium in Hiro, and it's owned by... By whom? Mr. Osawa, please calm down. Tell me. Go on, out with it. Kajiwara took a deep breath. The residence is owned by Mamoru Tanaka. Oh. What? I'm sorry, give me a second. What? Osawa was speechless. He couldn't process what he was hearing. Hanaka? Lies! I shrieked. Just what are you implying? That Mr. Tanaka is the kidnapper? Where's your proof? Is I involved with Tanaka? It was a little bit... It is she! With all due respect, ma'am, weren't you suspicious of Mr. Tanaka yourself? Well, I suppose, but... You did go so far as to stick a listening device on him. Flustered, I withdrew into a vacant silence. The sudden ringing of a phone startled everyone in the room. Was that Tanaka? No, it couldn't be. There was no way. The phone was wiretapped. The detective, wearing the headset, nodded to Kajiwara, who turned to motion for Osawa to pick up. Hello? He said cautiously. Ah, hello. Is this the home of Maria Osawa? The voice was not Tanaka's. Osawa didn't recognize it, but the veil of despair that hung before him thinned slightly. This is the home of Hitomi Osawa? This time, the man on the phone used Hitomi's name and said, Yes, that's right. The caller immediately hung up. Osawa stood there, dumbstruck. Kajiwara gently took the receiver and hung up the phone. One of the detectives addressed Kajiwara. We've traced the source of the call to a cell phone. Also, we've pinpointed the base station used. Inform Director Kuze so we can prepare a team, just in case. Just in case? Osawa asked. What do you mean by that? Kajiwara frowned slightly. Just because this is a kidnapping case, doesn't mean that every phone call comes from the kidnapper. We'll look into it, of course, but... I see. Besides, right now we're confirming Mr. Tanaka's whereabouts takes priority. Don't you agree? Osawa nodded. Someone should call him, the detective added. I'll do it. I got out her cell phone and dialed up Tanaka. Where was Mr. Tanaka headed? Kajiwara asked. He eyed Osawa keenly. To work, I sent him to pick up some documents I don't actually know. I think this one? I don't actually know. Even leaving out the part about Hitomi, that was still the truth. Yeah, see? That one was the truth. It was just like, I think we don't actually know. If Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, Osawa knew he ought to tell the police about the blue minivan and the emails from his daughter. But part of him still trusted Tanaka deep down, and he couldn't bring himself to reveal it all. We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium, Kajiwara said. Let's wait for them to report in. On the far side of the room, I was squawking in frustration. Despite several attempts, she hadn't been able to get through to Tanaka. Kajiwara's phone rang, and he pulled it from his pocket. Kano? What's going on? He headed into the corner as he spoke into the receiver. I suppose that'd be all right. What for, though? After a few more quiet words, Kajiwara held out his phone to Osawa. One of the investigators at the scene would like to speak with you. Frowning in confusion, Osawa took hold of the phone. Osawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. There was a pause as the speaker took a deep breath before continuing. That's what I thought. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? What? Osawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. How did some detective from Shibuya precinct know about it? Osawa was bewildered. I'm the one asking questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? I'm not sure you understand the question. I know what the syndicate is really after. Mr. Osawa. Osawa's mind went blank when he heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Osawa? The detective continued after a moment. Is everything all right? Without really thinking, Osawa hung up. They were after the virus? Did he mean the UA virus kept at the lab? Wait, hold on. The detective had to be wrong about that. The kidnappers must have the UA virus already. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to do what I did to Hitomi. Do not look away. These are your crimes. At last, Osawa understood what those emails from A were all about. They were a preview of the tragedy that was yet to unfold. The kidnappers probably meant to start the main event soon. It might already be too late to stop them. Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara asked. Are you alright? The detective gazed with concern into Owa's ashen face. Bracing himself, Osawa spoke up, his voice hoarse and dry. A killer virus is about to be unleashed in Tokyo. And I know who's responsible. It's me. The sudden confession caused the detectives on site to stir like a hornet's nest. Please arrest me. Feeling the weight of his crimes crushing down on him, Osawa dropped his gaze to the floor. He held out both his wrists. I'll tell you everything down at the station. Anything you need to know. Osawa imagined bodies dropping left and right. There are limits to what might be cured by the small stockpile of antiviral his lab currently contained. If they were unable to quarantine the infected in time, then Shibuya, no, all of Japan might be engulfed in a pandemic that the drug could never stop. A massive outbreak of a particular infection on a regional or global scale. In 14th century Europe, a massive cholera outbreak is said to have killed 2/3 of the population, and the Spanish flu outbreak in the early 20th century killed at least 25 million people worldwide. Given modern advances in transportation, some researchers are of the opinion that the global risk of a pandemic is higher than ever before. He could only hope that complying with the authorities might be able to stop the spread of the infection before it was too late. Why? What? I'm fucking speechless. What? Ah, it's such a good story. Oh, I am way too invested. I want to jump over to Kano's part right now, but I shouldn't. I should do Minorikawa's first, and then I'll jump over to Kano's. If I have time. I don't think I'll have time. I'll probably do Minorikawa's. If I got time, I'll do Kano's, but I don't think I will. So then we all get left in the dark. Oh. No! Minorikawa's cry of despair echoed throughout the cafe. I'm sorry. There are people trying to annoy me. No, it's just things. His laptop monitor stares back at him, black and empty. Don't you die on me, buddy! He jabbed his finger sharply at the screen. God, this is such a fucking... just tonal fucking whiplash right now. That is what we're experiencing. But the computers gave no response, looking well and truly dead. What the hell? Minorikawa pounded his fist on the table. This would be a worst-case scenario, even if he weren't desperately pressed for time. Guess I'll just have to write by hand then. He rummaged around inside his bag and pulled out a notebook. I can still do this, he shouted, taking his best to psych himself up for the task ahead. I will still do this. Uh, excuse me, sir? The waitress appeared timidly beside him. What? Minonikawa snapped, his pen still flying across the paper. Sir, if you could please quiet down. My damn computer just broke. I'm allowed to scream or two. Crap, that's a mood. Minonikawa's no state of mind to be quiet. If it weren't for the deadline he was racing to meet, he'd probably gone on screaming until he passed out. Ah, fuck, me too, bud. Your computer is broken, you say? The waitress peered at the monitor. Yeah, look! It just suddenly stopped displaying anything. Could it be that, the battery just dead? Minonikawa sat bolt upright. That's it! Holy shit, you fucking idiot! The waitress flinched as Minonikawa's finger jabbed toward her face. I hadn't considered that possibility. Minonikawa! Hey, let me plug it in somewhere. There's an outlet right there, sir. She pointed an outlet by Minonikawa's feet, making no attempt to hide her exasperation. Minonikawa plugged in the power cable, and the monitor sprang to life as normal. Now that's sorted, would you please be quiet, sir? Don't talk to me. You're interfering with my writing. God fucking damn it. Minonikawa's fingers had already begun dancing across his keyboard. With a sigh, the waitress disappeared back into the kitchen. Oh yeah, now we're talking. His fingers picked up speed as he went about touch typing. Touch typing, the act of typing at a keyboard without even looking at the keys. The aspiration of computer novices everywhere. The typical method involves placing index fingers on the F and J keys, while the middle ring and pinky fingers resting on the A, S, D, or K, L, and semicolon? Is that what that is? I think it's a semicolon. Keys to either side from which all the other keys are easily reached. With practice, a touch typist can instinctively hit the correct key every time without looking. The pros and cons of surveillance cameras. Proprietor of outdated electronics shop oversees high-tech camera system. Bedlam at bogus weight loss drink sales demo. Bankrupt organizer remains undiscouraged. Now Minonikawa's spirits were riding high. His writing rolled along at a brisk pace. Sir? It was the waitress again, her voice yanking Minonikawa right out of his soaring mood. Sir! Now what? Has the President of the United States agreed to give me a one-on-one interview? The waitress' eyes went wide with confusion. Huh? Because unless it's something that important, do not speak to me right now. But she was undeterred. Sir, if you could just be a little quieter. Minonikawa's fingers ceased their rattling across the keys. Just what sound do you have a problem with? All I've been doing is writing a copy. Well, for the last while, actually, you've been talking while you write, sir. I love him. I love him so much. Talking? Minonikawa tilted his head in confusion. Yes, sir, you've been talking about an electronics store and some bogus weight loss drink? I assume that's what you're writing about? You're saying I've been narrating my copy aloud while writing it? That's right, sir. Other customers sitting nearby were openly snickering. Well, so what? He snapped. He was red in the face now. You should all be delighted you get to hear what I'm writing before the magazine goes to print. Well, actually, sir, it's one of our customers has been complaining. Complaining? Oh, the nerve. Who was it? Where were they? Where are they? Minonikawa scanned the other patrons, many of whom were unsuccessfully trying to hide their laughter. It was me. It was a grumpy older fellow who'd been making a scene earlier. Bogus diet fads, peeping security cameras. Reminds me of that sleazy tabloid forestalled general gossip I hate so much. Oh ho! You sure seem to know a lot about it for something you hate so much. The man's face twisted up with scorn. Your behavior is bothering everyone in here, he said. Do you not understand that? No, I don't. Guess a reporter who writes nothing but nonsense prefers nonsense in everything he does. Minorikawa could feel his blood boiling. What was that? Go on, say it again. Oh, gladly. Nonsense, filth, coddleswallop, flim-flam. You bastard! How dare you! Minorikawa stormed over to the man's table. Flim-flam indeed. God, I fucking love this. Bogus or insincere content. Few things anger Minorikawa more than reporters using dishonest means to create a story. Having their own work called flim-flam would naturally make him blow his top. It's such a funny word. I love it. Just who are you calling? Give me a sec. He just knocked over this poor man. The waitress. Oh no. Oh no, Minorikawa. The other man stood up and glowered in Minorikawa's face. You utterly lack any manners or sense of decency for starters. I have plenty of manners and decency. I also happen to have a deadline. Bah! As if a flim-flam artist like you has any work ethic. Stop calling me flim-flam. The waitress inserted himself between the two men. Gentlemen, please, stop fighting. I demand you remove this man at once, the older fellow barked. He's the one you should be kicking out, Minorikawa shot back. But now he was ready to go for this guy's throat. Please, the waitress pleaded, both of you return to your seats. She grabbed onto Minorikawa and began to forcibly drag him back to his table. Oh, it's too late for that. Okay, go. I'm sorry. I don't care if this is the bad end. We're seeing this fight. Oh, it's too late for that. Giving into his anger, Minorikawa threw a punch at the troublemaker. Ah! The man dodged nimbly, however. Heh, you're not bad. I'm 6 Dan in judo. Ah, you should have mentioned that earlier. Minorikawa hastily retreated to his seat. God, I love this game. Holy shit. The other man snorted and sat down with a scowl. The needless interruption, just when he'd finally gotten to writing mode, had all but killed Minorikawa's motivation. He decided he needed to take a breather. He turned to the waitress. 1 spaghetti Napoleon, please. Spaghetti flavored with tomato ketchup. Napoleon is a corruption of Neapolitan? You know what? I don't know how to say this word. Though the dish itself has no other connection to the Italian city of Naples, Napoli. Rather, it originated as a menu item at a hotel in Yokohama shortly after World War II. There's also a spaghetti dish from Noyaga called Milanese, which likewise has no connection to the Italian city of Milan. He might have not a lot of spare time, but working on an empty stomach wouldn't do him any favors. While waiting for his order to come out, he decided to read back over the copy he'd written so far. Huh? When he looked back at the monitor, the screen was black yet again. Looking down his feet, he now saw the power cable was now unplugged. Hey, what kind of cafe are you people running here? He shouted. The waitress hurried over, looking combative. Sir, you yanked that out yourself when you stood up earlier. What? A likely story. It's the truth, sir. Minorikawa pointed the customer sitting next to him. Is she telling the truth? Did I really yank out the power cord on myself? Minorikawa, Jesus Christ, calm down. The man nodded sheepishly. Yeah, well, then that's an outlet's fault for being somewhere it unplugs so easily, Minorikawa scoffed. His friend is consoling this poor man. Oh my god. The waitress marched away, head held high. Just make sure that spaghetti's delicious, Minorikawa shouted after. Do that and I'll consider us even. Oh, and load it with cheese. Lots of cheese. He plugged the power cable back in, then let out a heavy sigh. In all his writing favor, he hadn't thought to save his work. Always make sure to save your work to avoid losing data. Honestly, why is it that your computer only seems to freeze when you've forgotten to save stuff? Fuck, that's a mood. He was probably going to have to rewrite most of what he'd done. Excuse me. Minorikawa looked up to see a young woman standing there. I'm so sorry, she said, about my father. She gave a tiny bow. Your father? Oh, the rude old man? He's just a little worked up right now. Please don't pay him any mind. So what are you waiting on? Your boyfriend? Huh? The one was taken aback. I happened to hear you two are arguing earlier. Would have been about 2 hours ago? Oh, I see. An awkward, embarrassed smile came to the woman's face. I thought I was going to ask my father for permission to marry me, so we've been waiting for him, but he hasn't shown up. No, he must be really busy. She cast her eyes down sadly. Minorikawa took a better look at her. She was gorgeous. A woman as her looks wasn't something he saw every day, that was for sure. Say, would you mind talking with me for a bit? He asked. Me? Yeah, I kinda need to turn my mood around here. Well, okay, at least until my father gets back. The woman cast an anxious look towards the restrooms. What's your name? Dumi. She sat down across from him. Wait a second, aren't you... Minorikawa peered at Dumi's face. One of those twins that was chosen as Miss Midoriyama? Dumi shook her head. No, not me. Wait. Yeah, 'cause... Huh. Huh. Is this the twins' like actual mother? Maybe? Anyways. No? Darn. Didn't think I'd be that lucky. He took a sip of his now cold coffee. I do know the girls you're talking about, though, Dumi said. Minorikawa spouted his coffee in surprise. Dumi squeaked in surprise and alarm as the spray splattered her face, but Minori leaned in, unconcerned. You mean it? You really know them? Yes, Rumi replied. You're talking about the Osawa twins, right? She got out a handkerchief and wiped the coffee from her face as she spoke. Osawa, huh? Minorikawa glanced down at the project proposal on the table. Sexy squared. Twins share top prize at local university beauty contest. Midoriyama Academy, Maria and Hitomi Osawa. Yes, that's it. The Osawa twins. I actually won Miss Midoriyama myself a few years ago. This year I served as one of the judges. Minorikawa adopted a self-satisfied pose. Guess I really was born under the right sign to be a freelancer. The leads just come to me. Sure, Dumi muttered. Okay, let's talk basics then. Tell me what you know about these girls. While I don't really know them personally, Dumi continued to dab at the coffee on her face. but now that you ask, I do remember hearing that they'd entered the contest separately. Wait, separately? Now Minotikawa was a bit confused. Yes, that's right. I'd assumed they'd enter as a pair, but apparently not. I wonder why. I mean, they're twins. Don't they look alike? Wear the same clothes? Do everything together? And say the same things at the same time and stuff? Demi chuckled and shook her head. No, not at all. Besides, these two aren't identical. They're fraternal twins. Twins who were born at the same time from two eggs that were fertilized separately. Fraternal twins do not share the same genetic information. They can differ in such characteristics such as sex and blood type, that there are almost though there are cases of fraternal twins resembling one another almost as closely as identical twins. Maria and Hitomi Osawa happen to look very closely alike, but they do not have the same blood type. That's fascinating. Although at a glance they do look very similar. Still, how should I put this? They both give off very different impression. Oh, now that sounds interesting. Mind explaining what you mean? Minotikawa opened his memo pad. I talked to them briefly after the award ceremony. The older sister struck me as really energetic, but the younger one was more quiet and reserved. Minotikawa's investigative senses were tingling. I wouldn't figure a shy girl would want to enter a campus beauty contest. I suppose not, no. Yeah. I don't suppose you got anything juicier? Minotikawa asked. Dumi frowned. Would you like to just go ask them yourself? Sorry. It's water time. Oh wait, is this the man who called the household earlier? I think it is. Okay. They don't live very far from here. Whoa, hold the phone. Minotikawa could hardly believe what had just fallen into his lap. The advance info in the project proposal had mentioned the girls were students in Midoriyama, but hadn't given an actual address. If he could talk to them directly, now that would be pay dirt. You know where they live? Well, not exactly. I just heard that they lived in Shoto. Ah, Shoto. That wasn't far away. A car and motorcycle could get there in about 10 minutes. Who's throwing things? Nithya! Hi, Nith! Stop throwing things at me. Hi! How you doing? It'd be quicker than going to Midoriyama Academy, and be able to meet the girls themselves. Minotikawa flashed a quick look towards the restroom. It looks like Furumi's father had just gotten back. Sorry, she said, I should be going. No problem, and thank you. Oh, excuse me. Dumi gave him a quick nod, then hurried back to her seat. Good, just got out of a Pilates and discussion. I'm doing very well. Unfortunately, I'm almost done stream, but I'm doing very, very well. I've had a good day. Minotikawa grabbed the directory from the public phone and flipped through the pages. I will say, this fucking episode has been a lot of revelations, and it's been so good. Oh, I fucking love this game. To his surprise, there were only 5 listings for the name Osawa with addresses in Shoto. There was neither Maria nor Hitomi, but he hadn't expected there to be. He'd need to find their parents. Wasting no time, he called up the first Osawa on the list. Bingo! Minotikawa couldn't help but pump his fist in excitement. He got in the right place on his first try. Way to go, me! He committed the house number listed in the phone book to memory. Just then, the waitress reappeared with a disgruntled expression, and Minotikawa's aura of spaghetti Napoleon. Napolitan. Here we are, sir. Oh-ho? pasta was piled high with an impressive mound of grated cheese. It looked almost like a miniature mountain of snow. You did say lots of cheese, sir, the waitress told him. She set down a canister, cheese, and a bottle of Tabasco. A sauce made by a US-based Ilhemi? I don't know how to say that. Company consisting of hot peppers, grain vinegar, and rock salt. Known for its distinctive spiciness, it can make spaghetti and pizza quite tasty with the addition of just a few drops. Tabasco also goes pretty well with ramen and curry. Recommended for times when flavor is lacking and a little punch. However, even one drop may be too much for those who can't handle spicy things. It's been claimed that Tabasco was first imported to Japan by a certain well-known former pro wrestler, but this story is untrue. Oh, this looks good, Minorikawa exclaimed. He twirled some spaghetti up with his fork and shoved it into his mouth. The slightly sour sweetness of the ketchup blended perfectly with the mellow flavor of the cheese. Oh, that is tasty! There was nothing like a satisfying rub to lift the spirits. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. I want to see the end of this. It's so good. He turned back to his laptop, still wolfing down the spaghetti. Alright, we're back in action. Let's do this. Yet again, he unthinkingly blurted his words aloud as he slipped back into writing mode. I've got this. I've got this! With ketchup smeared around his mouth, he set his fingers tapping away at the keys. The waitress let another groan of dismay. Huh? You say? Look at him! Look at this bastard! I love him. Huh? You say something? Minorikawa glanced in her direction, but the waitress faked a smile. No, sir. I don't think so. Yeah? Well, then go away. You're distracting me. Jesus Christ, Minorikawa. The moment he looked away, she clenched her fist in indignation. Hmm? Aww, this is great. I love this waitress. She deserves so much. She deserves so fucking much. Thank you for the head pats, Raz. Nothing, sir. Good luck with your work, sir. I don't need luck. I've got this. Eyes jumping back and forth between pasta and computer, Minorikawa got to work on his copy once more. Before long, he was oblivious to every sound in the cafe around him. Yay, more head pats. What's a thing? Yeah, it throws emojis around. I don't actually know how to turn it off or to edit it. I know what's doing it, but I don't know how to control it. Yeah, you guys like the barrel roll. There will be a riot if I ever remove that. I will say, I do want to finish Minorikawa's route, so I'm just going to go to the end of it and then I'll end streams. So. I have eyeshadow on my fingers now. I rubbed my eye for 5 seconds and now I have eyeshadow all over my hands because I went out today. I don't usually wear makeup, but yeah, no, I'm not allowed to remove it. No, I'm not allowed to remove it. When he finally snapped out of his writing mode, he glanced at his watch. It was 2:20. Almost time for him to head to his next interview. Better get a move on. Kimizuka's Taki came just as Minorikawa was hurrying out of the cafe. Well, that's a pleasant surprise, Minorikawa called out. Nice timing, my man. Kimizuka's startled look quickly vanished behind an expression of professional resignation. Do you need a ride, sir? You know it, Minorikawa replied. First head to Shoto. After that, I'll need to get to Sakura Gaoka. Sakura Gaoka. As he cast his gaze out at the sights of the city, Minorikawa mulled over his plan for the next part of the day. First he'd interview the Miss Modoriyama girls. Then he'd meet with the head of that theater troupe. In order to leave himself enough time to write his copy, that meant, I'd like to get this all wrapped up in 20 minutes. Minorikawa! That's not... Can you make that happen? Kimizuka flashed a grin. That will incur a special fare, sir. Ooh, special, he said as he got settled in his seat. I love that word. Kimizuka stepped on the gas. Jesus Christ. Shibuya was a town of contrasts. It was a town of young people, unpretentious, energetic. The scramble of intersection and center guy perfectly conveyed that vibrancy. However, if one turned right at 109 building and headed down Bunkamura Dori, the town's whole atmosphere changed. Shoto was one of Shibuya's, indeed one of Tokyo's, most upscale residential districts. Wherever one looked, there were stately manor houses, giving off an imposing air, sending the message that this was no place for the common folk. Right here is fine. Minorikawa directed Kimizuka to pull over. Wait here for me. I'll be right back. Hopping out of the taxi, he checked the nameplate of the nearby homes. Ah, here we go. He spotted a nameplate that read Osawa. Kenji Osawa, huh? The name nagged at him somehow. It had been in the back of his mind ever since he'd seen it in the phone book back at the cafe. Had he heard it someplace before? He walked up to the gate and pressed the button for the intercom. Even the little chime it made when pressed sounded elegant. Minorikawa waited, but there was no response. He looked at his watch. It was 2:30 now. His interview at Shinosuke Oari of the Watering Angels was supposed to have started already. Episode 3. With help from Shinichi Bando, Mondo was able to get out of his apartment. Then, when all the players had finally assembled, the troupe proceeded with one last rehearsal before showtime. But again, tragedy struck. Mondo came down with food poisoning after eating his lunch. He was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and the Angels were once again lacking an actor for the key role of Shido. Oari was on the verge of panic. Finally, however, he came up with a solution. Novice actor Takuya Amo, aged 31, would take on the part. Continued in episode 4. Still, he wanted to meet the twins first if it was possible. He had to make a choice. He decided to wait or head to the next interview. Should probably head to the next interview. Ah well, I'll have to come back later. Minorikawa decided he'd better get to his next interview. He started to head back toward the taxi. The front door opened. A grim-looking man emerged, leading another man in handcuffs. Minorikawa was standing in their way. Pardon us, the serious-looking fellow said. He gave Minorikawa a curt bow as he passed by. Minorikawa smelled the distinct odor of a scoop. Hey, does that guy live here? He asked. The man ignored him and kept moving, but Minorikawa followed. He couldn't let this opportunity pass him by. Hey, wait up. Is that Mr. Osawa? With a grimace, the man pushed Minorikawa aside and hurried his handcuffed prisoner along. For a moment, Minorikawa wondered if he should keep after them, but he decided against it. Whatever was going on here, he doubted he'd be able to get an interview with the twin girls right now. This had all been an unfortunate waste of time. He had no real choice but to head along to his next interview. A few minutes later, the rear tire skidded sharply as the cab came to a stop beside a different curb. The trip from Shoto to the theater in Sakuragaoka had taken almost no time at all. "Here we are, sir," Kimizuka announced. Wow, that was fast. Still, Minodekawa was at least 5 minutes behind schedule. He'd hoped he'd still be able to get an interview with Oarai. And there's our keep out point. So, with that is where we're going to call it for today, which is deeply unfortunate. I am way too into this story. It is so good. Oh. So, with that, I should be back to regular schedule this week. Let me grab my stuff up for myself. Yes, so I will be streaming on Wednesday. It might be earlier in the day, depending if T wants to play Undertale again. That may also change the time. We shall see. Ooh. Let's see if I can breathe properly. And yes, I will be streaming on Saturday and Sunday at regular time. Let us see who is on for us to raid today. It's a weird time, so there might not be anyone. Not really. So, yeah, it's a weird time. Sure, I could raid into somebody, but it's fine. So, I'm gonna call it a night. Have a good night, everyone. I will see you on Wednesday at some time. Bye-bye.